Just Audio Tips radio removal video for a Honda Jazz 2013. Now, to remove a stereo, we're going to need a few tools. We'll need two types of trim panel tool, your basic trim panel and the wedge shaped one. We're also going to need an 8mm socket, ideally on the end of a screwdriver piece or an extension bar and a ratchet. Now, to remove the stereo, what we need to do is need to remove the panel from underneath the stereo here in front of the gear knob. That will gain access to a screw at the back. We'll then need to drop the glove box down to be able to put pressure on the back of the stereo, as there is about 8 clips dotted around the outside of the stereo that are just in under pressure, but they're very, very tight. So we'll first start off with the panel down here. So the first piece we need to remove is the panel from underneath the stereo, just in front of the gear stick. If you use your wedge shaped tool, you can pop it in at the back and start to pull the clips down from the back first. And then you need to slot the clips out from the top of the dash. We can just put this to one side. Now we've got access to use the tool to get to the bolt that's in there. If we pull the glove box down by pushing the sides in, you can pull this down to gain access to the whole rear of the stereo unit. And from there you can see which screw I'm about to remove. So it's this screw here. We need to remove this one to be able to pull the stereo forwards. Once this is removed, all that's left is pressure clips all around the outside of the stereo. Now, to be able to put the stereo out, we can't just use the trim tool, as the trim panel around the side is too soft, you'll damage it, so you need to put pressure on the back of the stereo. To do that, you need to slot your fingers between the bodywork and the back of the stereo so you can put pressure on the back of the stereo. With that pressure, that will make it a lot easier to pop all of the clips off to be able to bring the stereo out, which we'll do now. Now, to remove the stereo after we've removed the screw at the bottom, if we put our hand into the place shown previously, we can put pressure on the stereo and actually get it to move a little bit. Once this has been moved, we can then start to work the stereo out from inside the dashboard. As I said before, it's extremely tight. We try and push on the back of the stereo more than lever the panel. What you find is the whole thing will eventually pop itself forwards. You may have to work along the top and into each of the edges just to be able to get all of the clips to remove, as these are extremely tight on this vehicle. Once done, be very gentle, lift the stereo up and out. Once out, we have a multitude of panels, clips, which we release by pressing the tab on the top. We can now pull the stereo a little bit further and we can start to remove all of the gear on the back of the stereo. The main harness has a tiny little clip which we need to lever out and lift up. Once we've released the clip, the lever slides upwards to release the main power block. All of the rest of the cables have just got simple tabs on them to press to release.